Y'all didn't know, y'all are tuning in to the Chelsea Cunningham Masterclass on how to go after the life that you want. And I love it. I didn't know that's what we were walking into today, but I absolutely
Either.
I love how you were just not afraid to just put yourself out there and network your way to success, to the life that you want.
I truly believe that it is about, yeah, I truly believe that it is about, if you meet somebody, like, don't forget about that meeting. And also, don't forget to like ask for help.
Hi, everyone. This is Kirsten, and thank you so much for tuning in to the Relocate Podcast. Today, I have another guest who is very near and dear to my heart. I told y'all gonna hear me say that a lot. Um, Coming from Chicago all the way to Austin, we have with us today Chelsea Cunningham. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you, girl.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me
How's everything going for you?
today. I mean, it's great. I'm alive and I'm well. I'm doing me continuously. Like, what more can I ask for, honestly, in life? To just be pursuing my passions and living every day like it's my last.
Love that. Okay. Well, before we get into the nitty gritty, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself? Just, surface level of like who you are and what are some of those passions that you mentioned, maybe some hobbies. Yeah, girl.
I'm from Chicago, but I've lived here in Austin for the past 9 years, going on 10 in 2025, which seems really crazy. I moved here when I was very young, like early 20s, fresh out of school. And I was originally a journalist. So that's what I moved here for. That was my first career. I worked at the ABC affiliate, which is located in North Austin, and worked there for 3 years as a TV producer and then as a digital content producer. So I was doing stuff, getting my reporters together, calling the shots, like we're going live, in 3, 2, 1, and then, working behind the scenes and doing it for everybody on social media, um, you know, controlling our website and making sure we were all good to go with our stories and breaking news. Actually, when you're a digital producer, you're the first actually to break a story before a reporter probably even goes live. Fun fact.
Very
So
fun.
I did that. Yeah, I did that for 3 years, like I mentioned, and then transitioned into tech, which is where I am now. Started at Google, then went to HBO Max, and now I'm at Amazon as a program manager, um, doing a lot of stuff with data and analytics for content. So it's like I took what I learned in journalism and then transitioned it into this new field. Yeah. So I would say my career has not been linear, um, which has been fun. And I feel like that's the kind of person that I am. I like to try new things and um, really just like challenge my mind. Like I like to be flexible, I guess, in life and what I'm trying to study and learn new things. So that kind of brings me to my passions, which I didn't really get going on until I was about, I don't know, like late 20s. So it was like, oh, my work is my passion, right? Journalism was kind of a passion and it was a job. So it was the HBO Max job was kind of a little bit of the same thing where it's like TV is and movies. Who doesn't like TV and movies? But what I realized is that I don't want my job to be like my only passion. Like, absolutely not. It's super draining to always be. You think that watching movies all day is fun? It is fun if you're like a real cinephile, and I learned that I was not. So I was like, I need to have a balance between like my day job and what I like to do. because I don't like doing the same thing. As I just mentioned, I like to learn new things. I like to challenge myself. I've had hobbies where I was a roller skater. That was during the pandemic. I think we were all kind of roller skating. I was into real,
Yeah.
I was into natural, like, um, natural skincare and hair care. And right now, or this past year, I've been learning how to DJ and mix, which is really exciting because I love music. Actually, when I was a kid, I thought that I would be a singer. Don't ask me to sing on this podcast.
Dang.
And that's only because I like singing along to the radio. It was really just like music that I really liked. And I was in choir. And so I have a little bit like of music theory and, learning how to read music. So I did know how to do that. Played the saxophone when I was in middle school. I like, why not have, a standing gig like outside of my regular day job where I could just kind of do that because it is fun and it's like no pressure.
And I think that's the beauty of being in Austin. I feel like there are so many opportunities here and just an overall feeling in the air where people are liberated to the point where they can be creative and try different
Hmm.
things. That's what I really like about Austin.
Yes, right. I don't feel boxed in here. And that's something that I really like about this city. I always tell people that when I moved here was not the city it is now. It has definitely grown and expanded. You can even see that in the skyline. If you go and look up pictures from 2015 to 2024, you can kind of see where I was when I came here. And then where we are now is just like a totally different place. But I think it's cool to live in a city that has continued to grow like with me. It wasn't really, it did have its establishments, yes, like its old like Austin culture, which, I don't really enjoy that all of it is being taken away. But there are some staples that, are still here, and I really do appreciate that. But like I said, I don't mind a little change up and switch up. I'm very liberal in that way.
Okay. Well, let's now get into the nitty gritty of why we're here to talk about your relocation journey. So, maybe I mentioned first, yeah, that you're from Chicago. Um, and if I'm not mistaken, you actually pursued and received your degree in Chicago too. Is that correct? Or in that area?
So, no, so I actually went to school in Southern Illinois, which is
Okay.
5 hours away from Chicago. Another fun fact,
Oh.
more so for you because you're my friend, that I chose to go there to Southern Illinois University at Carbondale because it was in a small town. And it wasn't too far from my family, obviously in Chicago. But growing up in one of the biggest cities in the country, I think like when I was, graduating high school was number three. I don't know if it's still that. Um, I wanted to know what it was like to live in a small town. Again, like it's intellectually stimulating to kind of put myself into these positions where I'm like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen or how am I going to, react to this, different environment. And what I learned is that I didn't really like living in a small town. It was like, it was fun for college. Yeah, it was fun. Like if I was 18 again, I probably would go and live in a small town again because that's like, and then when you're all like the same age, it's a good time. I don't know if I would have, I think it would have been a way different experience if I was going to school in Chicago. Like college,
Mhm.
it's like, it probably would have been a continuation of high school because I grew up in the city, like in the city on the South Side, and went to school like near downtown. I would see college people sometimes, walking around, whatever. So I'm glad that I got away from that environment. I went to school like in a small town, but I did realize like once I was done with school, I needed to get out of there. I wanted to go back to the city and like be in, I don't know, my Sex in the City area. Like I wanted to be in a bigger space with more opportunity and more things to do. So I
Okay.
knew I was not going to stay in Southern Illinois. I knew I was going to move again. And that's what I did. And I didn't even go back home to Chicago. I went straight to Denver, like right after school, which is another, it's a city. It's not as big as Chicago, but it was a city coming from Carbondale, Illinois. So I was like, that's cool. And I'd never been by the mountains. I don't even think, I never seen the Rocky Mountains. So that was another thing that was like cool to see every day, being like in the snow in Denver. It's different than Chicago too. It is. And then I moved to Austin after living in Denver.
Okay. So your first job out of college was in
Hmm.
Denver.
Yes, and I
Were
would
you just
say that was.
applying?
I was
When,
no, I was networking. I'd say that
okay.
something I learned very early in college was like my to network and to build up those connections. I felt like that was the fastest and easiest way to get a job. So I was at conferences. I went into the National Association of Black Journalists conference in Boston 2014 and
Okay.
was chatting it up to who and him and her and over there. I was meeting everybody and I was like keeping up with them too and really paying attention to what they were talking about, like post college programs. And Gannett is one of the biggest like newspaper companies in the world, but at the time, or in the United States at the time, they also had TV stations. So they had this program called the Talent Development Program for future journalists and producers and digital content producers. So I knew that I wanted to join that program. I felt like it was the easiest way to get like an entry level job, even like because they were going to train you to be in their company basically, and then you
Oh,
go
that's
and then you
cool.
could get another job after you're done with the fellowship. You have to apply for it and interview, but it's a lot easier to get it once you're already in the company. They know you're like a future talent that's already been picked. So yeah, so then after that I was in Denver for 5 months only, and fortunately I had known some people from college and from high school that also moved to Denver around the same time. So it was cool for me
Um,
because I wasn't totally alone. Some of them moved back to Chicago,
yeah.
some of them are still there. But I did know a few people when I moved to Denver. Yeah.
Okay. So this was like a program that they placed you there, like
Yeah,
in
they
Denver.
placed me in Denver. It was either going to be Denver or Phoenix. And I'm glad that it was Denver.
Okay. And only 5 months. Okay, so what happened? Like, was the program supposed to be 5 months, or after 5 months you found something like a better
The
opportunity that
program
led you
was as
home?
long as you needed it to be.
Okay.
I think it was initially for like half a year, but I had a friend that stayed on longer. Like there was three of us that were in the program. I left after 5 months, another left, 6, 7 months, and then one left like after a year. So it's like whenever you just start applying like at a certain time. And I started applying like around April, and then got the job in Austin around June. So I was applying to a couple of different places. It was either going to be Portland, wait, no, Maine. There's a city in Maine. I can't think of it right now. And
Okay.
or Austin. Those were like my two options. And I was like, Maine, I don't think that's for me. Not at this time in my life. And then like at whatever, 21 or 22 years old. And when I applied for the Austin job, I initially didn't get it. They hired somebody else, and I'm like, I didn't want the main one either. I was gonna go home back to Chicago. I was like, we gotta go home and figure out our next step because I actually don't think I'm gonna get anything. Luckily, something happened where they were hiring another person in Austin, and the news director really liked me. So he's like, oh, we have a position opening. Do you still want the job? And I'm like, yeah, of course. I have my sister in Houston, so I had somebody close. Houston is not very far from here. It's like 2.5, 3 hours. So I was like, that works. So I went from, having some, a group in Denver, like a little foundation, and then going to Austin, where I didn't know anybody in Austin, but I did know somebody like in Houston. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. I love that. Everywhere you went, you had connections. So you were never truly
I've never been
alone, like
truly
in
alone.
whichever state that you went to.
Yeah, at least within which every state, yeah. Like in this city, when I first got here, that was a different story because I really didn't know anybody. Like I had my job, and it's really fun story about that because when you're a young person in journalism, you'll likely find a lot of other young people there too. So when I was working at KVU, I was not short on the amount of people that were like my age or a little bit older than me. So we all kind of became friends, which was good. And I'm still friends with a lot of those people now.
Oh, that's neat.
Hmm.
That's neat. Okay.
Yeah, girl.
And okay. So 2014, this was the year that you made all these moves, right? Or was it
2015.
15?
2015,
Okay.
because I moved to Denver January 2015 and then moved to Austin June 2015.
Okay.
So
Girl.
it's almost been a decade that I've actually made some major moves though. Like I've made moves in terms of my
Yeah.
career, but in terms of like location, it was all like fresh out of school.
Yeah. What was that move like? I mean, you move like regions, like whole time
Yeah.
zones, like of like switching up. Um, how was
It
it
was
as far as like cost? And I mean, what type of items and stuff like did you bring with you? Like, did you come into Austin kind of like that Will Smith scene where he just has his arms folded, he's in the living room, there's nothing. like like how, how did
yeah,
everything go
actually,
for
I
you?
did. I didn't have much. I was like, actually, I want to get new things. And let me rewind, actually. When I moved from college to Denver, I didn't have much belongings. I lived in an apartment that was fortunately furnished with a nice queen size bed and dresser. And I was
Mm,
spoiled. I was paying 500 some dollars a month with three roomies, and we were all living nice in that apartment. So it was small
oh,
town,
the
but they
good
had some
old
nice
days.
things.
I know that's
Um,
right.
I miss that a lot, actually. And then I moved to Denver. Let me tell you, I think I had a much easier time because I had my family. My family was there. My mom and my dad were, we're going to get you to where you need to go. Drove cross. I don't know if that's cross country, but it's far. Drove really far from Chicago to Denver. That was like a 14-hour trip. So we had like my essentials, like all my clothes and stuff, right?
Okay. That's a long
Birth
time.
certificate, social security. I don't know, like my essentials. And then we're like, okay, we gotta get stuff when I get there.
Okay.
But before we even, got on the road to go to Denver, we were looking for my apartment. I was doing it because I'm like, I'm grown now, fresh out of school. Like, let me start doing my research and figuring out like where I want to live. And I picked an area that was not only close to the news station, which is like near downtown Denver, but not totally. Um, and it was also really close to a hospital, so that's good. It was close to a Trader Joe's,
Love
a
that.
snooze cafe too. It was a
Oh,
cute little area actually. I got a studio apartment because I was making nothing. I was getting paid $30,000 a year. So yeah, I was literally slightly above minimum wage, right? And poor, but that didn't stop me.
yeah.
I'll tell you. Okay, I was making $30,000 a year in Denver in a studio apartment that was in a cute little neighborhood. I doubt you can get anything like that for now. I was paying 900, probably 980 a month, I think. 980 for that studio apartment. It was
Okay.
relatively big. I think I still have pictures, like in my phone, like deep in the archive. It was very, very humble beginnings for your girl. Very, very humble beginnings, and it was doing its job. Whatever. I was going to work. I had a nice schedule. I was on, I think Tuesday through Saturday. I worked, and then
Okay, that's not bad.
had like Sunday and the rest of the days off, I believe. And I used my time. I was going out all the time. I was living on whatever, and I had no like problems, eating poorly at that time, and was able to get by just fine on that 30 grand a year. I had my parents, they weren't helping me too much. I think I was making do with what I had for some reason, um, which is good. I don't really know. It would be tough for me to do that now, but I was doing fine back then.
It's crazy how we made it work. Have a very
I don't think I
similar
knew anything
like.
else, right? Because I think I was coming off of like my scholarship money and like a little bit extra change that I had in college. So it was kind of like an increase when I think about it. It was just like more money had to go to my rent. So yeah.
I feel like I had a very similar story coming out of college as far as like income. I
Hmm.
still don't know how I thought, I could make that stretch, which I did, but why was I struggling? I don't know. I like to travel. That's probably why. I mean,
I
that
wasn't
that part of
traveling
me
at
has
all.
always been present.
I think that's what was going on. Like, I would say for a long time, at least like that first year, I didn't travel at all. Like, I traveled to Denver to get there and then traveled to Austin to get there. Like, I didn't do any like international travel. I didn't do any state travel or anything like that, probably to like 23, 24. And I had to save up for that like trip. I yeah, I guess when I need to, I can be frugal and figure out what I need to do what I got to do.
Okay. So we're in Austin. Welcome to Austin. July or June, I think he's mentioned, of
June 2015.
20, 2015. Did you have an opportunity to visit Austin beforehand or have an idea of what Austin was like before you moved?
No, I didn't visit Denver. I'd never been to Colorado before I went there. I'd never been to
It'd
Texas.
be
I
like
didn't
that
even think
sometimes.
about it, honestly. I didn't even think, I was like, what is in Texas? Growing up in Chicago, we don't think about like the South. I think it's changed. I think like, you know, uh back in, I don't know. I think that it's changed now where we're more cognizant. We're like, oh, Texas got a lot of stuff to offer and all these other states and stuff. But like when I was growing up, it was like, we're all gonna stay in Chicago forever. Like, why would we leave here? That wasn't my
I mean,
story, but that's what a lot of people around me were doing. It.
okay. Okay. So you get to Austin, and what was your first impression of the city?
I thought it was cuter than Denver. I thought Denver was not cute when I first moved there. I remember saying
Oh,
that to my family. I was like, yeah, I didn't see the mountains yet. I was just like, this dad's like, it's an old city. What are you talking about? I'm like, Chicago's old too, but it's cute. So I remember when I moved to Austin, I was like, oh, this city would be so cute, like so much cuter if it had like a body of water. Because I didn't see Ladybird Lake until like a few months after I've been here. And then I was like, I
what?
remember calling my mom. I was like, Mom, there's a lake here. It's in the middle of downtown. I'm so serious. I had no idea. Because I was just like, we drove from the airport to my, apartment. And I was on the north side and we was doing stuff on the north side. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's understandable. You definitely not gonna see a lake on that commute from
Yeah,
the
yeah.
airport to the north side. Definitely not gonna see the lake. Oh,
So then once I found
mm,
out there was a lake, I was like, yes, because I love the water. I love being on the water.
o- okay. So you get here, you finally get an opportunity to explore the city. Oh my gosh, there's a whole lake. And then you mentioned I think at the beginning of the video or the recordings along the lines of like making friends. I don't
Hmm.
know how Austin was like when you moved here, but I know like now like are a lot of people who look like us are leaving because they see
Hmm.
that there aren't a lot of like black people
Yeah.
here. How was the scene like for you? I mean, I don't even know how the population was like pre-pandemic or any of that. I see the black people. I mean, I've had to do a little digging to meet meet like different groups and
Yeah.
meetups and whatnot. But I mean, how was your experience the first few years, like pre-pandemic?
I think I had a very interesting experience. I told you I worked in news and I knew five black people that worked at the station. So I was
Okay.
seeing black people every day. Even one of the video editors was too. He was on the same shift as me, and he went to UT. So I was like, okay, I'm seeing. I don't know what y'all talking about. I see black people all the time. I lived up north, and a lot of black people live up north. If people like move here and they go south first, then I'd be confused too. Probably wouldn't see them either. I think we're splitting out a little bit more, but I've always lived, on the north side and far, like almost, to the Pflugerville border. So I had always been seeing them like at my grocery store around, meeting friends like outside of my job. I really, really wanted to do that. I wanted, like I said, have a separation between job and like my personal life. Plus, I'm young and wanted to go out and still have fun. I'm like, where's the party at, low key? And I needed to find friends that were trying to do that. So I signed up for a meetup. I did that actually in Denver. I would say Denver was worse for me. I told you I had like a few friends here and there, but I was like, I still want more. Like, I want to meet new people and see what's out there. I would say that Austin was better. There was literally a group for my target age group. It was like it was so specific. It's hilarious. It was like 22, like new to Austin, 22 to 26.
Yeah.
Specific. That was like perfect because I know what they're on. I know what time it is. It's gonna be a fun time. It's gonna be a party. So I was like, I need to go like after work on my day off because I had weird shifts. I think I was working like the evening shift, and had like Wednesdays and Thursdays off. It was worse. I don't wish that on anybody. And then I met my first friend in the parking lot. Actually, I was like walking into the happy hour place. I think it was like some bar. I don't remember what it was called. Haymakers, maybe Haymakers. I think it's still actually around here. Um, and she's like, "Are you going to the meetup?" She's another young black woman. And I was like, oh, yay. Like, yes, I am. Like, let's go in together. Friends, like, immediately.
Oh,
We're actually still
I love
friends, like,
that.
today. We're actually still friends today. She doesn't live in Austin anymore. She moved to Greece. She's somebody you definitely need to get on this podcast because that girl's been around the world and back, and now she's living, yeah, in Athens. So
I
she's
am
she's
trying
really
my
one to speak
best.
to talk about moving around and all that. But yeah, she's my first friend here. And then I met three other friends in that same meetup that were like very near and dear to my heart and very close to me. Like throughout my early years here in Austin, like we did everything together. Eventually, I'd say that it was like when you first move to a city, you do have to ensure that you are putting yourself out there continuously. Continuously. And with those people, like you met them one time, okay, but you got to follow up with them. I remember I would see them like I wasn't following up, like I was busy or whatever I had going on. And then I'm like, wait, hold on. They're becoming friends and doing all this stuff together. I'm trying to be in the crew. So I like hit up, the two of the girls that I was really close with eventually, and started forming those connections. And they're like, oh yeah, you need to come out. We're doing this. We're going here and there, and made it work that way. But I knew like the friendships the immediate connections I had made were sort of dying. And I had to breathe some life into them because I was like, they don't care if you're busy. They don't know you. Like you have to put in a level of effort to keep that friendship going and be able to have that like crew that you really wanted. Because eventually, my friend that I said moved to Greece, she was like my girl. I had really weird days off, Wednesday and Thursday, but she's like, we're going out, and we would be on 36. We would be on 36 on Wednesdays and Thursdays. We made friends with all the bartenders. We were getting frinks. So when I coined that when I was 22, a free drink.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Frinks. We love frinks. And it was a goal of ours to get a frink every night because once you made friends with the bartenders,
Oh,
he was pretty good because once I got off that stupid schedule and I had like regular weekends, oh, we were Gucci because we knew everybody. It was a time. It was a time. I don't go over on those parts anymore. But it was a good
you
time.
you retired.
I'm
Came and saw
tired.
you conquered.
Somebody else gotta keep the Franks, alive and well. And I bet there is a new generation.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Um, Franks, I gotta use that.
Yes.
I gotta use that. All right. You've been here for a very long time, like 9, 10 years, very long time.
Almost a decade.
Yeah, almost a decade. And you got to a point where you transition careers.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through how you were able to do that and what was kind of going through your mind when you decided to make that transition?
Decided to make the transition or to be looking for my opportunity probably as soon as I moved to Austin. I think that I would be staying
Oh,
here. The goal is to be here for a little bit and then go somewhere else. Like I was trying to go to Los Angeles. I was like, I'm being LA girly, West Coast, that's the life for me. And so as soon as I got to Austin and got my job as a TV news producer first, associate producer, I was like, what do I need to do to kind of set myself up to get out of here? I think I've always been a little bit strategic, like in terms of my career from college, you know, networking, meeting people, being in the right rooms with the right people, and taking your shot. I think is where, what's led me to the career that I've been able to have. And pursuing those opportunities when I see them and just going after them. So as soon as I got to KVU and I was like working as a TV news producer, I'm like, I'm trying to figure out how to get into marketing. I think that was my first thing. I was like, I think I want to be in marketing. Like this news schedule is really challenging for me. And I want like a little bit more, I don't know, work-life balance. So that's why I transitioned into a digital news producer my second year. So yeah, 2016. And
okay.
I felt like I could take that skill set of being like a social media coordinator. I feel like that was an opportunity I could go with. Um, a marketing associate, right? Because I was, content marketing because I was running our website. So I was like building up my little resume so I can market myself to go to whatever opportunity that I thought would be a good transition point from where I was. So I did that for 2 years, and it was challenging trying to get out of it. It was hard trying to get out of my first new job. I applied all the time.
NSA never stop
And
applying.
I was ready to literally, if it didn't work out for me, I was going to quit and just hang it up and go back home and live with my parents and figure out another way out. And my mom's moved to LA for her job, the Pasadena, which is right outside of LA. So I was like, oh, great. So I could live over there and figure out how to get a job in LA. That's where I want to be, anyways. Um, then out of nowhere, one of my jobs that I applied for, like, reached back out. And I honestly forgot what this job was. Um, but it was for a contract position at Google to basically be what I think is like a program manager, like what I'm doing now. But it didn't say that exactly. It was trying to scale up this audio news project on the smart home, the Google smart home. They wanted to have like a personalized news playlist. So the woman who interviewed me was a former journalist who joined this company, also from news. So I think she had a soft spot for me. She's like, oh, she's in news. She knows what she's talking about. Like, we kind of need that thinking, in this environment in tech, because all these tech people don't really know how it works. And so even the CEO of the company, which Google acquired, was also a former journalist. So I was working in tech, but with a lot of former journalists. So I think that it was a perfect fit for me, based on like my background and everything. So it was, I had to interview though. I think that's super important to have your people skills. Being able to connect with people like, the human aspect when you're in an interview. And I try and really show that whenever I'm interviewing with, different companies and all of that. So I think that's helped me too, like being able to connect with people. They like that. And I like it too. Like, who doesn't? Like, you don't want to talk to a wall. You want to work with somebody who's a vibe, honestly. So I try to do that when I interview. And I think that did help me, coming from journalism and then moving into that one. And then once I was at Google, that was like a new day. So I was no longer scraping from coins, some money. Like, I could actually save. And I was 25 years old. I was like, I can actually save money. Like, this is wild. Because I was not able to save any money when I was working in news.
Really?
I could barely even afford to go to the dentist at one point.
Oh.
And I had to, like, my friend, my parents, like, everybody had to, because I was like, I had a time when I had a whole bunch of root canals. It was like back to, like, I had 3, I feel like, in a year. It's another story. That's a health story. So, like, we're good now. My teeth are all great. So we're good. But at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so stressful. Like, I can't afford it. So it's really great to be at a job where I could like save money. I wasn't really worried about anything like that for once. So that was nice. And then I moved into, no, I didn't move actually. I stayed in the same apartment. I was paying, when I first got to Austin, I was paying like $750 for a 1-bedroom apartment in North Austin. And that was like a step. That was
Wow.
coming from Denver. So I was like, and then they knew I was poor. They knew I was poor. So they didn't raise my rent too significantly. They actually had me sign something, I think, my first year. They were like, we see your income, like, sign this so you can stay at like this low rate. I'm like, okay.
I know that's
But
right.
they never checked again.
That's thoughtful.
It was thoughtful. I really enjoy the bridge at Tech Ridge. They're at North Austin, 35 and Palmer, right behind the AMC. They were very cool. I stayed there until the pandemic, and I think the most my rent ever went up to was like $900. Through the pandemic, they were like, all right, you got to pay now. Like, it's expensive to live here. Like, I think they went to go up to like 1,000 something, but I was like, well, I'm moving into my house, but thank you for all of the support, and I appreciate you.
Okay,
But
how?
they really helped me my first couple of years, and I helped myself, right? That was a strategic decision where I was like, I'm not moving out of this apartment that, first of all, isn't raising my rent up too much. I already got a one bedroom, which is pretty nice. I don't have a roommate. It wasn't a huge one bedroom. I think it was like 500 square feet, but it was good enough for me. It wasn't like super, it wasn't a dangerous area. I had like a pool, I had a gym, at a nice clubhouse. Like, I was like, it's a vibe. Was I far from downtown? Yep, sure was. But I had a lot of friends that lived downtown or close to it. So if I wanted to go out downtown, just stay with them. And we loved it. It was awesome. And if they wanted to come up to a really nice pool and be on the north side, they would come and be on the north side. But yeah, so I appreciate my friends for letting me crash and stay with them when we would go out downtown, because that really helped me save money on Ubers and stuff. Like, I couldn't really do that. I couldn't afford to do that. So yeah, that was good at that time. But there was another question. That was not the question.
Oh no, 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 no. You answered it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm I'm echoing. Can you hear that?
I don't hear the echo.
Okay. The echo's gone down. Kinda. I can still hear it. I can still hear the echo. Like, that's crazy. Okay. I'm pretty sure I can edit that out if push come to shove. All right. Um, no, that the you answered the question. But I think the other portion I was like just like what was going through your mind when you realized that you wanted to pivot.
I wanted to have a better lifestyle. I wanted to have more freedom to not just focus on work. So I knew that I wanted to get a 9 to 5. I knew that I wanted to have weekends off. And I think that tech was my best opportunity, because I had, started to build some connections at Google. I was like, well, I'm on contract here. I should just try and get a full time job here. My manager, who I'm very, still really good friends with to this day, was super supportive and wanted me to have that because she had that.
Mhm.
So she really was rooting for me and was trying to, referred me to a lot of positions. It didn't really work out. Um, but I did eventually, after 2 years of like trying and being on contract there, did get an opportunity. And that was after I went to Afrotech. I think 2021, I went virtually while we were still kind of in the pandemic, either 2020 or 2021. And it was funny. Like, the virtual Afrotech looked like The Sims. It was really cool. It's one of the coolest things
Oh,
I've ever seen. And they even had like virtual conference style, like expo hall, where you and your little
wow.
character can walk up to people and talk to them.
Oh, that's
So
so
it
cute.
was so cute. They even had a party. They had people. It was like wild, mad times. Like, the pandemic was it's on a different timeline. It's so crazy. But I remember like having my little character walk up to somebody like sitting at a coffee table, like, "Hi, I'm Chelsea. Like, nice to meet you." So yeah, I walked up to this lady at the coffee table with my little avatar. I was like, "Hi, nice to meet you. Like, I'm Chelsea." And she turned out to be my future mentor. Talking with her, I was like telling her like what I wanted to do. I think at that time, I wanted to transition into a position as a content strategist, um, which is, I was not doing that at Google. I was like more of a content curator, with doing some strategic elements. So me and her, like after Afrotech, like worked together on my resume. Um, she introduced me to some of her network, and she would send me jobs and I would apply. I don't think she knew the woman at HBO Max who ended up hiring me, but she whatever was in whatever groups that was able to see that job and then passed it along to me. And I applied and ended up getting the position as an editorial strategist at HBO Max. And there I was like putting together these different, curating like collections of content, like movies and TV shows based on um, black the black community, Asian and Pacific Islander community, and the LGBTQ plus community. And so that was really cool. I did that for 6 months, but knew um, that that wasn't the best fit for me. And just in terms of I don't know what it's called, the environment wasn't the best for me. So I knew I wanted to try like something else. When I was out of a job, like I got laid off 2022 from the Google contract, I knew that 2021, sorry. I started applying immediately, and my mentor helped me apply some more. I did get the HBO Max job, but those applications, when you think that you put them in the ether and there's nobody's looked at them and they're done and whatever, you're not getting that job. That's not always the case, because when I was at HBO Max, Amazon reached out to me. They had my application from a long time ago, and they're like, "Oh, we want to interview you for this job." And I was like, "Yes, this is my chance!" Like, because I knew the HBO Max wasn't going to be a long-term fit for me, so I was like, "I'm going to take this opportunity. If it works out, it's for a content strategist, which is what I want to do anyways." So I was like, "Perfect." So yeah, I interviewed with them and was able to slide right on into Amazon like after 6 months at HBO Max. So it was that this is a much better fit. I'm still here at Amazon. I've worked here for almost 3 years now. And I think that what helped me in my career trajectory was just always, like I said, being flexible, always looking for those opportunity, listening. When I hear something that kind of perks up my ear, I'm like, "Ooh, I'm going to look into that. I want to research more. I want to know more about that." And who did you say? I'm going to reach out to that person. Like, you have to put in the effort if you want to get something. I applied to tons of jobs. I I've missed out on, job opportunities. I haven't gotten every job that I've wanted to get. Before HBO Max, I was interviewing at LinkedIn. I really wanted the LinkedIn job as a content designer, but I didn't get that one. So
Y'all didn't know, y'all are tuning in to the Chelsea Cunningham masterclass on to how to go after the life that you want. And I love it. I didn't know that's what we were walking into today, but I absolutely I love how you were just not afraid to just put yourself out there and network your way to success, to the life that you want.
I truly
Even
believe that
though
it is about, yeah,
yeah,
I truly believe
yeah,
that it is
and
about, if you meet somebody, like, don't forget about that meeting. And also, don't forget to like ask for help. When I was interviewing for the Amazon job, I asked my former Google manager, because I had to do a writing assignment. I'm like, "Can you read this for me? Can you edit this for me? I want to make sure I'm sending in the best stuff." When I got my job offer, I knew somebody that was working at Amazon from Google, and she was working in HR. I'm like, "Is this fair? Is this salary fair? Should I be asking for more money?" Asked my Google manager the same thing. I was getting opinions because I want to make the best decision that I can. I don't want to be gypped. You just have to, think about, yeah, the lifestyle you want and go after it. Negotiate. Do not accept the first offer. Are you kidding? I've never accepted the first offer on any job that I've had. Even my first one at KVU, I negotiated for more stuff, even if I was still poor.
so did you learn about like the best practices for negotiating when you were in school, or was that was just something that you picked up along the way? So I don't think like a lot of people are like they know or realize, or maybe they do but just don't know exactly what to say, or they think maybe, oh, I hope I'm not sabotaging myself by
Yeah.
thinking about doing this or actually doing it. I mean,
Hmm.
what's been working for you?
I think I definitely had resources and help at school. And I also am just a little bit of a nerd, and I like to research whenever I have a question about something. I Google it. Now we can ask ChatGPT and all these other things, but back in the day, 2015, I was like, how do you negotiate? I was reading Reddit forums. I think I was watching YouTube videos and used like tips and from what I could see. And then I did it myself and I'm like, well, what did I got to lose? I don't think that I don't think I was scared that they were going to rescind. The only time where it felt kind of sketchy was the first job at the ABC affiliate, where they're like, well, we don't have much, but here. They gave me like $500 extra. Whatever, that's an extra 500. I'll take it.
Yeah, I guess.
I know, right? That's why I was
$500.
like, like I gotta go.
Okay. Okay. So that's hopeful, especially for people who are seeking to, maybe make more money one day, and they want to go and negotiate like an opportunity to add a little more cushion to their package that they're receiving. So, um, kind of curious, did you get no's whenever you tried to negotiate?
No,
Or no? Okay.
they always are willing to give something.
You got to give us the template.
And differently every time, but you got to come with your facts though. You have to come with your research. So I know that for, at least for the Amazon job, I'm like market, rate for this position, with this many years of experience is about this much based on this research. And I sent that along with my negotiation letter. So I wouldn't say just give me this much money because I want it. Like come with your data to back up with what you want. Like who's going to argue with,
Right.
facts besides, who.
Right. Oh, and GPT, you can just type in,
ChatGPT
I'm
can help
guessing,
you.
you
No,
can
no,
type
literally.
in like, what is the market rate?
Yes, I would double check it, obviously, unless it's pulling directly from a source and it's sourced. Um, but that's a good way to start. I would ask now. I would have ChatGPT write my negotiation letter, and we would work on it together. I would prompt the model to help me write it in the best way. I don't think I wrote it poorly before, but it's an extra, assistance there. Probably wouldn't take me as long. It definitely will not take me as long. And I'll get some starting values. I would ask ChatGPT first, and I would go and look and make sure that that was right. Like I think there's Perplexity uses can is hooked up to the internet, so you can ask what your source is. I think Bing is definitely connected to the internet, so you can ask what's your source is, and it uses ChatGPT for. So that's a tip too.
Of that. Okay. Another piece of the Chelsea Cunningham masterclass. Throwing in these gems. Gotta
I
love it.
like to help people. I want everybody to win. I want everybody to know that there's opportunity out there. Like, do not think you can't get what you want because you can. And I need to honestly put that into other aspects of my life. But in terms of like my career, I do truly believe that.
Yeah. And I believe it too. I mean, tech has definitely opened my eyes and the window of my journey it just seems so much like clearer, brighter.
Yeah.
Like I felt you when you mentioned that uh you were actually able to save.
Yes.
um yeah. I mean, I I would love to encourage people to go into tech because it's just where it's at, as far
Mm-hmm.
as uh having a work life balance and just being able to create the life that you want. But I'm curious too, when you realized that you wanted to pivot, were you looking at other fields like outside of tech, or was there something that came to you or something that you noticed that made you realize, okay, this field or this industry is going to provide me with the life that I'm looking for?
Was not looking outside of tech. because I think tech is one of the most innovative spaces. And as somebody, as I mentioned, I really like to have my brain massaged with new, really interesting and curious things. And I had worked at Google and I got my first glimpse of like machine learning and working with software engineers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this stuff is so cool. And there's other roles that are like non tech that I feel would be better for my skill set. So I think that's what pushed me toward tech. And I wasn't really looking at anything else. I think when I was still in journalism, I was like, well, I'll, stay in media or go PR. They say you go from, working in journalism, if you go to PR, you're going to the dark side because you are not telling story for the people. You're telling stories for businesses, organizations, um, nonprofits, which always don't have to necessarily be rooted in 100%, you know, fact. You're massaging it to make sure the best story of your business is told. That's what public relations is about, right? So I would say once I got into tech, I was gung ho. I was like, I see what I can get if I stay here. And that's where I want to be. And there's other tech roles like at finance companies, at um, even at HBO Max, I would say that was given kind of tech energy to you. Like that's not necessarily a tech company, but it is a big like media side. And I was working on the tech. I was working on the app, right? So I would say that's still like tech to me. But I was like, I want to be at the Apples. I want to be at the Googles. I want to be because I see what you can get. I had got my little taste, and I'm like, I'm trying to stay over here.
Okay. Oh, okay. I feel like a late bloomer, like to the tech space.
Hmm.
Um, I wasn't even thinking about tech. I went to a whole college that was big on engineering and STEM, and I still was like, no,
Yeah,
no way, Jose. Didn't
yeah.
really get into the space until I think 2022. Like I didn't really express
Hmm.
much interest until around that time. And then I just was fascinated, and I went just head first into
Yeah.
learning as much as I could. Um,
No, I think that's cool
so
too. I mean, like, if I could go back and go to school, would I have done this first? I don't know. Because I like to switch it up. I like to be trying different things. So I honestly don't regret that my first career path was journalism because I think that skill set really helps me in my job now. Being able to tell stories, right? To get to the root of it, get to the fact, what are we trying to do here for the business? Um, and a lot of people, I feel like that's more challenging for them to grasp onto that skill set.
yeah, and I love how you touched on there are ways for people to get involved in this space without even getting like technical. Like you don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to know coding to get into tech.
Yep. If you have people skills, you know how to plan. Like I said, you know how to, I don't know another way to say it, but it's like telling the story and being persuasive with also understanding how to back up your points. They teach you that in college, no? Like that's how you do a research paper. Like, I want you to understand these points, and here's all of my facts to back that up. That's basically what a business, somebody in business is doing for trying to convince you, like, we need to invest in these areas because of XYZ, and here's what we're going to get out of it. That's another way to be in tech, like as a product manager, as a project planner, as a program manager, as a strategist, right? Without having to do the actual physical, what's not physical, technical coding and using your brain in that way. If you don't like that stuff, you don't have to. If you can be logical and like in your thinking, other stuff you could do, like you can be recruiting the people that do come into the company. What about an accountant? You could be an
Yep.
accountant at a tech company. Like there's loads of jobs. I think people don't think they're going to get it. So they don't even bother applying. They're like, I don't have the resume for it. I say, don't worry about it. What did I say? Get out there, network, meet people. You build up your people skills, be able to have those conversations and, see where you can get with that. That will help you a lot. Be in those spaces. You want to be in tech? Go to tech conferences. Go to
Yep.
little meetup groups. They have different events around. I used to go to those like in my 20s here in Austin. I would go to Capital Factory, would have events like during the week. They'd have coding classes. I learned how to code. I don't know if I was going to be a developer. I was just trying to learn it. I went to not only Afrotech, I went to a couple of different career fairs, like based in tech, not even based in tech, and was building up my LinkedIn network that way. I took a UX design class because I was like, oh, who knows what I'd
Ooh.
get with this. I, spent my money that I saved to put me into those, rooms and get those opportunities. So you do have to reinvest in yourself, get your certifications. Um, it's a lot that you can do to kind of get some of these opportunities in tech, I think.
Okay. We're gonna switch it up a little bit. What would you, yeah, what would you say would be your greatest accomplishment, like your greatest achievement since being in Austin?
Well,
Because you came for the
um,
job and you stayed for the lake.
I'm a lake girl.
Like,
It ain't a summer in Austin unless you're on the boat in the middle of Lake Travis on a party barge. Come on. You on that train now too. And you bring in the Houston girlies along with you. Everybody's getting on the Lake Travis boat party train.
yo.
Um, but I'd say my greatest accomplishment since being in Austin, probably getting my home. Like I got my home in 2021. Um, in North Austin. I'm a North Austin ride or die. And I
Gang,
was
gang,
able to
gang,
do
gang.
that. Like you don't see like all the things are building up and you're taking you and on this path. And when you see an opportunity, you got to take it. Once I got the Amazon job, I took a risk with myself. I had not been on the job very long, but I started looking for houses immediately because I was looking at the market. I saved enough money because I didn't move out of my small apartment that I was paying less than $1,000 for. So as I expanded my income, I was able to save more and more and more. I didn't travel that much because of the pandemic, right? So I saved a whole bunch because I wasn't going anywhere. And then I knew the interest rates were like the lowest they ever been. I was like, this is my time. I know I have the money. I got a credit card. I told you at around 27 because I wanted to start building up my credit score. And my credit score was on good. I had savings and a little bit extra for the down payment and what I need to do, and I knew which area like I wanted to be in. And my friend was a real estate agent who also transitioned from being a journalist into a real estate agent. So he already knew. We're very good friends. Love him. He helped me get this house and the best deal. So that was probably my best accomplishment because that if you would have asked 21-year-old Chelsea like if I would have had like a house and the opportunities that I've been able to have like in the past decade just from probably 25 to now, I wouldn't have believed you. It was a struggle at first. So that was like a big accomplishment, something I really wanted to do. My parents and family have been investors in real estate in Chicago. I think my dad got his first house around the same age as I did, and so did my grandmother, like 28 years old. So I felt like I was keeping it in the family by, investing in myself too and getting my first property.
Aw, God, I love that. I love
Mhm.
that. Oh my gosh. This is why I created this podcast because I want people to know that It's not going to be all glitter and gold. If you have your mindset on moving to a place, it's not going to be easy. But if you just stay on the course,
And
your life can blossom and you can really build your life to be whatever you really want it to be. You just have to be consistent and persistent.
persistent, consistent, all the things, and just dream like what you want and go and get that for yourself.
And just reflecting on the years that you went through, where the money wasn't as great, and you're really trying to make the most out of that.
Yeah,
How exactly were you able to make the most out of that?
my beautiful family and friends. Like I said, my parents, my mom bought me my mattress because I was sleeping on an air mattress in Austin for a couple months. I actually still have that mattress. It's very comfortable, so that was a good investment. I picked a good one. Um, Also helped me, like my sister and my mom, when I was going through, my health issues and just not being able to really afford anything, like being able to give me some money so I could get what I needed to do done. Um, and just being there for me. I love them so much. And my friends too, they really did help me. I don't think they knew it, but my friend, that's in Greece, like going out with me on my days off, right? Either I could stay with her at her house. I wasn't Ubering. I would literally drive to her house because it was close to downtown, and we would go out from there and split the ride. So I was saving some money there. I think I was cooking a lot more. I don't really cook as much now, but back then I was. I think I was eating a little bit healthier too. Um, and then yeah, I would say that's what helped me get through. I also wasn't traveling that much. I think went on like two girls trips, one to Miami and one to Vegas from 23 to 2025. I didn't do any international trips until no way 29, 29. I waited a long time to do like an international trip because I didn't have the money. I didn't have the money, so
What
I
year was
kept it.
that?
That was 2022.
Okay.
So if you look at my Instagram, like, yeah, I've been traveling, I've been going places, but that was a long time coming. That was like kind of getting it like all the trips that I really wanted to take and was not able to and wasn't able to afford them. Like now I can go because I do have, the savings and the money to be able to afford that. But there was a while that I just kind of didn't go on trips. I would go, like I mentioned, I had two girls' trips to Miami and Vegas. I went to LA and back home to Chicago, where my parents were. And then I did go on one international trip, but that was also kind of covered. My family helped me go on it, and that was for a funeral where my family's from in Belize. Like when my grandfather passed in 2015, it was right when I got to Austin. Actually, that was the only international trip I really took um, through all of that time. But that was to go see family, so I wasn't spending like a whole bunch of money either.
Right. Okay. Were there times in Austin, aside from, you being at that point where you were just like, I think I want to pivot, or I know I want to pivot careers? And I'm guessing that, around that time you were considering the possibility of leaving Austin.
Yeah.
Um, were there other moments unrelated to career where you were just like, I don't think Austin is it for me. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it was when a lot of my friends that, those really close friends that I had made in my early years here started leaving. That's when I was like, wait, I don't have my little community anymore. What is this? I was like, well, maybe I want to start over too. Maybe I want to get out of here as well. So there was an opportunity at that HBO Max job for me to move to LA. Like I mentioned, that was not a good fit for me. So I don't think it would have been the best move for me. Um, And I knew that I could always move away after I got my house. Like I could use a rental property or, invest or rental property and then move somewhere else, but still have that here. So I always felt like after a while, I started feeling like Austin's home. It's like my second home. Like Chicago has my heart, but Austin has a little piece of it too, because I just had so many memories, so many good experiences here from, my early 20s to now in my early 30s. So I think that the only time that I really was thinking about like leaving is when, a lot of my good friends moved away, moved on with their lives. And I was like, well, what's here for me in Austin then? Like, I loved having that part. But I did start, going out again. I'm like, if I want to have something, I want to have, tighter friends here, a better community, and people that I can, lean on and go to their house and hang out and stuff, then I should probably start putting myself back out there. So that's why I joined a couple of groups here in Austin, started making friends, going out, doing things, met you, and a couple of other people here. So that's what kind of turned it around. And I'm like, okay, well, Austin's good again. I feel like I do have my community here, and that really means a lot.
Since we're on this topic of community,
Hmm.
um, I when I first moved here, I learned that even though Austin was one of the top 10 cities where, they're getting, more people moving here from like out of town and all those good things. The population is increasing, especially during the pandemic. I mean, Austin was easily making top 10
Yeah,
um, of, yeah, as far as people moving into the city in the US.
yeah,
The population of African American people wasn't was actually seeing a decline.
yeah. Hmm.
So I'm curious to know, what would you tell these people who come here and they learn that? What would you tell like Black people in particular who are coming here and they're kind of seeing that shift, and they're
Yeah.
thinking to themselves, maybe there aren't, a lot of Black people here. I don't want to stay here. What would you tell those people about Austin, and I mean, trying to get them to stay and experience Austin a little while longer? Like, what would your advice be to them?
There's cities where you feel that Black community has been there and it's been established, and we've been there for a long. There's a culture, right? Houston and Dallas, duh. Austin
Oh
is
yeah, because
not.
apparently there's no culture here.
We I mean, people be we our American culture is so beautiful. It resonates around the world. So people who say that can, because it's a lie. So when you go to Dallas and you go to Houston, you feel that energy. I would say Austin is never going to give, well, I would say never, but it's not like that. It's like this is a city where it has like a hippie history. It's very like outdoorsy. It's very like go with the wind. I don't know, like go wherever you want to be and where you are accepted, I would say. So Austin's Black culture is a little bit like that. It's not typical, it's a little unusual, it's weird. But I wouldn't let that scare you, because there's a lot of really, really, really cool people here. And I think that the Black community here is growing. And there's people that understand that it's hard to find, that Black community here. And they are literally putting together organizations to support these efforts, like where y'all at, ATX, even like a couple of others, I'm sorry, that I cannot come up with off the top of my head. But there's a lot of different organizations that are spinning up to basically solve the gap here that we know there's Black people here. There's a lot of Black people in tech, honestly, that have to move here anyways. And they want to be there to kind of shepherd y'all in so that your cousins are here. And it's not only just like hookah and brunches. It's run clubs. It's
Yep. Shout out the We Outside ATX.
literally two-stepping. I've seen that. Kayaking, hiking groups, Black women groups, Black men groups, blurred groups, Black nerd if you don't know. And I think there's a little bit of something for everybody, but if you're expecting it to be in Atlanta, a Chicago, or a Houston, a New York, no, it's absolutely not that. But I think that you have to be a little bit more open-minded, I guess, and flexible to the community that you will see, and be receptive to that. It's not going to be something you've seen before. I would say that. But I'm like the type of person, I'm like, well, that's kind of cool though. Like I kind of like that we are building something new from the ground up. It was here historically. There was in East Austin. There's a lot of Black people here. Yes, they were, gentrified, a lot of that area, and they were pushed out, but a lot of young Black people, a lot of young Black families, a lot of young Black couples are moving into the city, and you should know that there is a community here. You just have to go outside and get it. It's not going to be in your face. I think that's like the theme of this, of some of this episode is like to go outside and look for it. Don't be discouraged because it's not everywhere that you think it should be. That's just not how it works here. Be a treasure hunter. Go and find the treasure of the Black community here, because there are people putting together communities and initiatives specifically for us, and I think they deserve all of our support.
And I mean, if you do like that party scene,
We got
Sabrina,
y'all.
she has her group, Nothing
We
to
got
Do
y'all.
in Austin. I mean,
What are some
there
of
are
the other
so
groups? What are some of
many.
them? Where y'all at? ATX. What's the run club called? Um,
um We Outside ATX. We
mhm.
have Black Life ATX,
Yeah.
Young Black Austin.
Yep.
Yeah, Nothing to Do in Austin. That's another good one to look for on social media. There's a lot of
There's
opportunities
a
for
lot
people.
of
Black women
opportunities.
who, that's another one for the outdoorsy Black girlies. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, and even though they say, Black, I mean, you still get a mix of people, which is really not bad at all. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
kind of, I appreciate the spaces that are created to kind of keep that culture, alive, and running and doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, I like it. I just love Austin. I do. But I appreciate the initiatives that are in place to where you can do more than just what you normally find in all these other cities that have that rich Black like vibe and scene.
Yeah.
So
Austin is
I
not
like
a rich
being an
Black. Well, it's not a rich
outdoorsy.
city at all. It ain't on them rich bougie vibes. It's a very like come as you are. It's a bar town. It's a
Yeah, very casual.
outdoorsy, casual. And if you want to look nice, we do have those things too. But it's kind of nice not to be like that all the time. I like being casual. I like being chill and having my chill looks. It's a music city. We do get a lot of Black artists that come here. I just went to see Sir last week, and there was a bunch of beautiful Black people there. So at the show, as well as others. That's what's also cool. But yes, it was mostly Black people there. So if you want to do something, you like a certain thing, go. There's opportunities and definitely a lot of events too.
Yeah. Richest Art Gallery. I haven't
Richest
been there
Art
yet,
Gallery.
but they have
Yeah.
a lot of jazz events, and I mean,
Spoken
there's
word.
they even have like a yeah, black owned sewing company and they do classes. I just so many different things to do that I feel like if
Mhm.
people just really gave Austin a chance, they'll
They would be
probably
happy.
like it.
There's even a new black, if you, all my wino, vino people, not wine, vino people, the Reserve in East Austin is a new black owned winery and it's very posh, very cute. They did their big one on the interior design and all of that. So there's lots of black owned businesses to support and more will come up as we continue to support these people.
Right. Maybe you, not you per se, but maybe you, but also just
Maybe
like
you
me and
listen.
whoever's listening. Maybe you can own a company here that we can just all support. Um, and I think that's another great thing about here. Like whenever a new business opens and they do identify as black owned, we are in there
Hmm.
like swimwear. There's a lot of support. And I kind of seen that with We Outside ATX. Like within a
Yeah,
month, they went from like 0 to like 4,000 followers. And I thought that was wild.
it's so
Like
cool.
there's really an opportunity for people, but especially people of color, to just kind of move here and create that space. And
For
there's a lot
yourself.
of need for more of that here.
That's a good point, because what about the people who are entrepreneurs, community organizers? Austin is the city for you. If you're like,
Hmm.
Atlanta's too saturated, I'm never going to pop off in New York, you going to pop off in Austin. If you have an idea, if you have like an idea that you want to do like in your city and you don't think it's going to take too long to get where you want to go, like you going to go far in Austin if you try and do that here. So I would say
Right.
let's stop thinking about what it doesn't have and think about like the opportunity for yourself.
That part. Oh my gosh. Don't be a follower. You don't have to be a follower all your life.
Make
I
a
mean,
scene.
unless you, if, yeah, if you want to go somewhere where the blueprint's already laid out for you, go ahead, go to Austin. No, go to Houston, go to
Yeah.
Dallas, do that. Um, oh, and another plug. There's a black women's group for like people who own yachts here. And I wish I knew those women.
Oh my God.
Y'all sit here waiting for the white people to invite y'all to boat parties. There are whole women out here who look like us who own
And God,
yachts,
yeah.
and they have a yacht club.
Okay. We need to find our connects. We gotta get outside. We gotta get outside. Actually, I want to be one of those ladies. Actually, what? Absolute. I want to be a yacht girly.
Right. And this is a great city to do it. Oh, because
Yeah.
I saw another statistic that said that the cities where black people thrive and make the most money, Austin was in that number.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's why there's a
Bingo.
black women yacht club here. I'm trying to be in that number. I'm trying to have the three uh car garage because I've seen a lot of that in my neighborhood. Like I want that. I don't necessarily want three cars, but I want a garage that big.
Hello. For stuff.
So the sky is the limit here. I feel like you can really create the life that you want to here. And part of that is because I feel like it's a liberal city and people really care about
Yeah.
your overall well being. They really care about making sure you have a decent wage here. And I know you see homeless people on the street, and I feel like that's in every city. But I don't know. I feel like here is where it's at. You just gotta come, with the career set, be open minded, like Chelsea's been preaching in her master class today. Like you just gotta be open. Like this is the city to come and be open and try something different and just be around different energy And yeah, I mean,
See where it
yeah,
takes you.
see where it takes
And the people that stay here are the ones that have that mindset, right? The people that are open to it, they're like, I know it's not going to be like where I came from. But
Yeah,
I also think that this energy suits me too.
this is a good discussion. Yeah, I can speak on Austin all day. I feel like this
Hmm.
city has saved my sanity because I was one of those people who are just like I want to be in the city with a whole bunch of black people, and
Yeah, yeah.
after 2 years, I was so ready to
Mm. From
go.
Houston.
Yeah, girl, I was ready to get the hell out.
Yeah.
I had my bags half. My apartment was half packed by the time I applied for the job that I have now because I
Hmm.
was so ready to go. I was like, I don't know where I'm going, but I can't stay
I'm
here
getting out of
anymore.
here. Yeah.
I already had a closet full of stuff packed, ready to go.
Hmm.
And I don't think a lot of people knew that. It didn't take me long to pack my whole apartment once I got that job, the job I have now. I was
Hmm.
ready to go.
And we glad to have you.
Yeah, girl.
Welcome to the Austin party. The city where we say you make what you want to make out of it. And if
Mhm.
you not getting what you want, nobody's gonna make you stay. But
Yeah.
if you see what you like is what you see, or what you see is what you like, stick around because it's not gonna be the same city in 5 years. So stick
It really
along
isn't.
for the next episode.
Right. Maybe in 5 years we'll have an influx of black people moving here, and then
I
it'll
think
be,
so.
and then maybe people will dance and twerk on the tables during brunch. Who knows?
I've
Who
seen that
knows?
once or twice. Here's not to say it doesn't happen. There are some events where I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm in Houston. But I would say that it's not all the time, and it's definitely not every event, which I think is nice.
Yeah. You know what, too? I feel like the DJ experience I've had here has been superior. I think
Mm.
like Atlanta is definitely number one, and I feel like I've been to a lot of cities, but
Hmm.
Atlanta DJs top tier. Like never had a
Ooh.
dull moment in Atlanta. But here
Okay.
in Austin, I've also never had a dull moment. Maybe like
Yeah.
one time,
Hmm. Yeah.
only
I think I know
because
who you're
there weren't
talking
a lot
about.
of people, but like the DJ was still like, I'm gonna have a good time regardless. But I think for me was going to Busy Signal,
Yeah.
and that, and yeah, when we were there, and that
Yeah.
DJ somehow went from mixing, he mixed Future and Britney Spears, and I was
Crazy.
I
I love
loved it.
it. I'm open to it, actually. Let's do another
Right, like, and then
one.
I just love like pool parties like out the
Pool
wazoo
parties.
here, and not like a pool party at somebody's apartment. I mean, these hotels downtown,
Vibe.
they will open up their space for a DJ to come and have
Yeah.
sessions out the wazoo. Shout
Yeah.
out to DJ Jamie Dredd and English Dom.
We love
Shout
him.
out to DJ Wildflower who be hosting
All
his
the
sessions at the
vibes.
park. Yes. Sunday sessions, like there's literally just opportunities, bro. Like Sunday sessions is another one where there wasn't a space really where you can just go to a park on like a Sunday and just picnic and listen to the sounds of like multiple DJs coming in and bringing in their flavor of
Hmm.
style of master mixing. But golly, like DJ Wildfire came in from Detroit and she did her thing, and she
Yep.
created a space in the community here for people who use nature as a way of healing after a long week,
Hmm.
or to just set the precedence for their work weeks. Literally touch grass Be creative and create the life that you want.
Yeah. So opportunities galore. I love Austin. In terms of like if I'm gonna stay here forever, I don't know. I don't know. I'm open to wherever, you know, life takes me, but there's nothing taking me in a different direction right now.
Maybe DJing. You never know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm going to continue to explore this passion and this new hobby and see what happens with it. But, I'm going with the flow at this point. Because I'm in a, a good spot and let's just keep it up at this point.
You know what? I'm gonna drop. Well, whenever this episode premieres, I'm gonna drop your SoundCloud information too,
Mhm.
so the peoples can listen. The masses can just listen. Get
Y'all
some of
went in
that.
my top mix, chill lounge mix with Amapiano, Afrobeats, R&B, jazz, and house. That's my top mix on my SoundCloud. It's an hour long, so it's not even that long out of your day. And yeah, I think that's one that I get like a lot of like love and likes on. So that's really cool to see like people all over the world listen to my stuff. It's cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay. All right. Well, we are going to wind down this episode. I really appreciate you, girl. Got one
Thanks,
last
girl.
question
Yeah.
before we go. I want to go all the way back to 21-year-old Chelsea, who was just fresh out of college and had all of these wild dreams and aspirations and was just so flexible to relocate and do what she had to do to make the life that you currently have now. So now that you're like almost 10 years deep into this experience being in Austin, what words of advice would you provide to 20-year-old Chelsea?
Well, Chels, I would definitely tell myself to trust the process and trust in yourself. There will be people along this path that will try and break your spirit and make you feel like you are not doing what you're supposed to do. But believe that you are, because you are smart, you are capable, and the mindset that you have can take you a lot of places. So don't change.
You have any like last words for the masses before we end this podcast?
um, Last words is that if you are looking for, an opportunity, if you want to move from wherever you are and you've been thinking about it for a while, take the leap. You can always, fortunately, hopefully, get back to where you need to go. But if you like, go with your gut. If you feel like you want to go and do something, go and do it. Like, live your life as you want and don't be afraid of what other people would say. You got to make yourself happy at the end of the day. So just allow yourself to have those moments and experiences because you just never know where life is going to take you. So um yeah, and y'all can follow me on my Instagram and on my SoundCloud. Chill with me on SoundCloud. That is my DJ name, DJ Chill with me, because I do a lot of chill and vibey mixes.
Chelsea Cunningham, thank you so much for joining. You the bomb,
Thank
girl.
you, girl.